Thank you for joining me today. My name is Raymond and I'm going to quickly demo how to get GitLab Development Kit or GDK up and running inside GitLab Remote Development Workspaces. Right now what you have in front of you is I have a fork of the GDK project in a namespace that I have configured, and inside this fork I have made one change to that project, and that is to add a dev file .yaml. That dev file.yaml refers to my staging container for now, and it's got some CPU and memory resources configured and a number of ports. The only port that we care about right now is the port number 3000 for GDK, but the other ones are already configured for if we may need them in the future. So the quickest way to get up and running is to, from the main project page, click on the edit button, and we have a new workspace button here. This will take us over to our workspaces dialog, which can also be found under your work and workspaces. Now our project has been pre-selected for us, so we just need to select a cluster agent. Now I previously configured this cluster and attached it to this namespace, and that's why that's already there for me. You would need to do the same by attaching a cluster of your own to your namespace to enable remote development workspaces. You can set a time limit for automatic termination. In this case, I'll just leave it at the default and go on to create workspace. Now you can see this top entry here is in progress. There's a little spinner here, and if I switch over to my terminal window, you can see that in the background on my cluster a new namespace has been created and a workspace pod is being currently initialized and being spun up. We give that a few moments to finish starting up, and we should be ready to go. So that pod is now running, and if we go back to our browser, this top entry should now get a link, and indeed it has. So we can go ahead and open this link. Opening that link will redirect us into our browser-based IDE, but this browser-based IDE does have the pod that we spun up in our cluster attached to it in the background. So you see we can open up a terminal, and from here we can easily do any other commands that we would want to do inside the cluster on our terminal. Now we're cloned. Our current copy of the GDK is cloned here, but it's not quite ready to run yet. So we need to run the little helper script that has been developed for this. And if I start running that script, that will go off and actually configure GDK to run in this particular workspace and continue to do the GitLab cloning. Now this particular script can take 10 to 15 minutes to run, so I'm going to switch to one that I baked earlier. Here's another copy of the same workspace, and this is the output of that script right down to the end, and the last thing that script pops out before it's finished running is a link to the currently running GDK. And if I go and follow that link, it will ask me if I want to open this external website, which I most definitely do, and it will then connect to my hopefully running GDK. And here we go, we're set up, we're logged in, and it's asking us to set up a new password. The default password for GDK can be configured there, but here it asks us to set a new password. So let's just set up a password. Well, we can just use a quick one because we're going to throw this away in a few minutes anyway. But there we go, we're set up, we're logged in. Well, possibly not logged in. It's going to ask us to sign in again, and if we just sign in with those credentials, there we are. We're connected to our GDK, up and running with some test data there and already running. And this is successfully running for us inside the cloud on remote development workspaces. Once we're done with our change, we can go back in here. We can make any changes that we want to within GitLab, etc. Once we're done with our changes, we've pushed them into a merge request. We just simply go back to the Workspaces page, and we can shut down the workspace by clicking on the terminate button, which will, if I show you, go back to the cluster view. The cluster should now start to terminate our pod and discard our pod. This is the pod that we were running there, and that will now terminate it, and back to our browser. It's down and it's gone. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope this has been informative.